It is truly good to be in heaven. I mean, Iowa. In Kansas, we've had the same issues we all have with Masonic education. We've always encouraged it in lodges, but the quality that they may be providing to their members has been a continual problem. And that's one of the things we wanted to address. Several years ago, we came up with a strategic plan. We polled the craft. This is not a Grand Lodge plan. And the Grand Lodge adopted what the craft wanted. They identified 4 areas. In 2013, we went back, talked to the craft again, and they came up with 3 slightly different lanes, and we adopted those as the refreshed strategic plan: excellence in communication, excellence in the esoteric work, and excellence in Masonic education. Because most of our craft felt when they took their obligation at the altar that very first night, we ask them what they want, then we tell them what they want, and then the master symbolically turns his back on the brother. Now, we want to turn, instead of turning back in a way to bringing the sign and do guards, maybe he's going to the library shelf to bring him a book, bring him that true more light. And we never tell them how to seek that light, never gave them any direction to go get that light. We just told them, that's what you want, we'll help you get it, and then we didn't do anything with that. With our strategic plan, we had to come up with something to do that. We wanted to make something standardized, that all Masons, so we could have a common foundation, something accurate. Because as we all know, if you go out there, you heard Dr. Morris last night say, go on Google and you're going to find all sorts of interesting things out there. But we want something for that new Mason. We want something for that Mason who's been in for a while that never got that mentorship or coaching that he may have needed or he now wants. So we had to do something for that Mason. In Kansas, we had what we called the Kansas Masonic University. It was a great program, basically a bunch of questions and answers, but it was truly mimeographed sheets of paper that were then Xeroxed and now copied, and then some of us scanned them in. We've been passing them on since 1970. Great information we all know, but in today's society that cannot work. And the young men that are joining our craft will not accept that standard. And that's not the standard that we want to present as Freemasons in any jurisdiction. We found as we went in that we were passing down a bunch of errors and typos. And again, that's not, we're a gentleman's organization trying to give them more light. That's not what we could do. When a guy goes out to seek light, he's got a ton of things out there. And in the Grand Lodge of Kansas, we didn't tell them where to go get their information. So they were going out and picking a book. And we've all read those books. We picked up, The Secrets of Freemasonry. And wow, I didn't know that last night, Jerusalem was the password. I didn't know that. And some young men may read that and go, crap, I misheard it. And they carry that on. In Kansas, we have 2 authors that are in print. The problem is they're speaking on topics that aren't meant for the new Master Mason. We need something that would provide an actual and a foundational basis for Masonic education for Kansas Masons and Masons in general. So we'll have a place to start, some way for them to start their trip down the educational path to more light. These 2 books written by Brother Masons are great books, provide a foundational basis for every Mason. We encourage our Masons to read those. We know there's not wild inaccuracies. In fact, they both address some of the anti-Masonic movements. That way the new Mason can get what he may be seeking. At least it's there. For us, and these are some other books that, down the road, and I think if you haven't read, at least Observing the Craft, I'd recommend everyone pick it up. Either love it or you'll hate it. In Kansas, we have embraced it. Our young Masons are going wild over this. John Bizak, also, if you haven't met Mr. Bizak, another up-and-comer who's on the verge of catching fire across the nation. We chose a book, and we actually talked to the author, which was Dr. Morris, and he helped us identify some topics he thought were of importance. Then we went through and picked what we want to make sure our Kansas Masons knew. So we all have that same factual basis to start from and get our light. We put those into a very fancy PowerPoint because, again, that's the standard for today. Not just handing out sheets of paper or just printing up type that the instructor reads off. That's not what we do in Kansas now. We have a nice integrated PowerPoint presentation. We train those lectures. We have train the trainer sessions. Currently, we are doing a statewide Masonic Education Day. In the next several years, we're going to roll this program out so that this could be done at an individual lodge basis, similar to what you've heard today, where a lodge education officer could present this. This is what we did in Kansas. We took Dr. Morris's book and made it unique. So now all the Kansas Masons want that book. Same one you can buy off Amazon, but hey, we put the Kansas seal on it and the Kansas logo on that and made it unique. When you buy into Kansas Masonic Education, you get the book, and then we give you a course on that. The other issue that you have is you want your Masons to know your state history. That's very important. They need to know how that ritual came about in your jurisdiction. But unless you write it, they're not going to get that. So we as Grand Lodge officers had to come up with a Kansas portion of Masonic education. That way we know exactly what the Kansas Masons are going to get. And then we take it on the road. We put it out there on Facebook. We use Twitter. We put it in our publication that we put out to all the Masons and widows and dependent bodies. We have partnered up with our shrine, with our Scottish and York Rite bodies, with the Kansas Masonic Foundation, with the Kansas Masonic Home to help fund and publicize these things. That way it's not just a Grand Lodge project. We all want the same thing, more light. If we educate our Masons about Masonry, we become more active. So that's why everybody's on board. We have re-engaged with our Kansas Lodge of Research. It's not an actual lodge. It's a group of men that have come together to seek more light. We're starting a library project in Kansas. Most Masons in Kansas don't know we have a library. And if you saw our library, you'd be shocked because it's a disaster. I brought our foundation director with us this year, Bob Shively. He's been talking with the Grand Librarian here, the Assistant Grand Librarian. He's talked to Brother Tabbert. And it's already on the table. We've got the diagrams for a new library, and that's what we're doing in Kansas because more light is coming to Kansas. If you need help with this type of project, we'd be happy to share all the things we've done in Kansas to help your jurisdictions. So, again, thank you for your time. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to catch me at the break or anytime, and any of the Kansas delegation would be happy to assist.